The Wind in the Willows, the classic children's novel by Kenneth Grahame. Though children's novel is the usual label, it's more accurately a piece of literature that has charmed readers of all ages since its first publication in 1908. Its enduring appeal lies in a wondrous blend of gentle humor, vivid nature writing, and a heartfelt celebration of friendship and home. The story is set along a quiet English riverbank, a place where the sun sparkles on slow-moving water and tall willows gently sway in the breeze. Here, anthropomorphic animals live in snug burrows, cozy homes, and grand estates, engaging in adventures that reveal as much about human nature as they do about the natural world. Kenneth Grahame drew inspiration for The Wind in the Willows from the bedtime tales he once spun for his young son, Alistair. In crafting these stories, he reached back to memories of his own childhood in the British countryside, weaving them together with a father's love and a dreamer's heart. Even as you listen to the story retold, you might detect that intimate tone like a comforting voice, encouraging a child's imagination to roam free. Over a century later, this sense of warmth and timelessness remains intact, beckoning us to slow down, breathe in the smells of fresh grass and river water, and perhaps remember a simpler time. So, let's settle in and picture the world we're about to enter. The focal point of The Wind in the Willows is a serene river that meanders through a pastoral landscape. Bending reeds whisper quietly along the water's edge, and wild flowers nod in the dappled sunlight. This gentle environment embodies the novel's strong ties to nature. It's a haven of calm, a source of quiet marvel where one might drift along in a small boat and forget the rush of the modern world. And in a modest little home by the river lives Rat, often referred to as Ratty by his close friends. Rat is a water lover through and through, content to spend hours rowing his boat, organizing impromptu picnics, or chatting with any friendly neighbor who happens to pass by. His life revolves around the steady flow of the river, and though he sees no need to stray far from its banks, he's perfectly happy to introduce newcomers to its charms. One bright spring day, Rat meets an unexpected visitor. Mole, a shy and gentle creature who has just emerged from his underground burrow. Mole had been in the midst of spring cleaning when an irrepressible urge to see the outside world overcame him. Dusting and sweeping suddenly felt unbearable, and he found himself climbing up to the surface for fresh air, sunshine, and a glimpse of something beyond the familiar tunnels he'd always known. His journey leads him to the river, where he meets Rat, and from that first moment a close friendship blooms. Mole is wide-eyed, curious, and eager to learn, while Rat, though he's deeply rooted in his riverside ways, takes delight in sharing the beauty of his world. It's important to note that in Grahame's cozy countryside, these animals are simultaneously realistic in size and behavior, yet they dress in little waistcoats and speak with one another as humans might. They inhabit houses, hold feasts, and exhibit personalities that are at once endearing and relatable. The story's magic partly lies in this comfortable contradiction. The animals retain a sense of their natural habitats, yet they also mirror the hopes, follies, and affections of human beings. Before long, Mole experiences the tranquil pleasures of messing about in boats with Rat. Together, they pack simple lunches, loaves of bread, ham, and lemonade, and drift gently along, letting the current carry them wherever it will. To Mole, everything is new and exciting. The shimmering water, the warm sunlight, the simple freedom of floating aimlessly under an open sky. He's enchanted, and through his eyes, we, as readers or listeners, get a first taste of the novel's idyllic setting. There's no rush here. Life is measured in leisurely afternoons, the perfect environment in which to forge a friendship. Yet not all of the story's characters are as calm and contented as Rat. One of the delights of The Wind in the Willows is meeting Mr. Toad of Toad Hall, a character as large in personality as his estate is in stature. Toad Hall towers on a gentle rise not far from the river, an impressive building with wide windows, lush gardens, and a reputation for hospitality. Toad is wealthy, impulsive, and eternally chasing the newest, most thrilling fad. Whether it's a brightly painted caravan, a roaring motor car, or something else entirely, Toad leaps into his obsessions with unbridled energy, dragging his sometimes reluctant friends along for the ride. He's charming enough to get away with a lot, yet his impulsiveness also brings chaos, not just for himself, but for everyone around him. Mole and Rat soon pay a visit to Toad Hall, and Mole is dazzled by the sheer grandeur. Toad, at this particular moment, is all about caravanning. He's decked out a gaudy horse-drawn caravan and invites Mole and Rat to join him on an epic journey across the countryside. Rat, who knows Toad all too well, is amused but wary. He warns Mole that Toad's passions burn hot and fast. One day, he's fixated on caravans. The next, he'll cast it all aside for something else. Sure enough, during their brief caravan trip, a speeding motor car spooks their horse and nearly runs them off the road. And Toad, instead of being furious, is completely entranced by the noise and power of this magnificent machine. In that very moment, his caravan dreams evaporate, and his obsession with motor cars begins. This marks the start of Toad's increasingly reckless behavior. While Toad dives headlong into his new craze, Mole starts to wonder about another resident of the area, Badger, a respected and somewhat mysterious figure who lives deep in the wild wood. The wild wood is a place of looming trees, tangled undergrowth, and narrow paths that twist into the darkness. Mole, driven by curiosity, decides one day to enter the wild wood alone, despite Rat's warnings that it can be perilous for newcomers. Before he knows it, Mole is thoroughly lost. Strange noises rustle among the branches, and shapes seem to dart by in the corner of his eye. Darkness settles over him like a living thing, and fear grips his heart. Rat, realizing his friend has gone missing, sets off to rescue him. Together, they stumble upon Badger's snug, lamp-lit home. Though Badger doesn't care much for frivolities or frequent visits, his door is always open to a creature in need. Mole and Rat are welcomed with warm food and a chance to recover from their harrowing trek. Badger is a sort of paternal figure among these animals, wise, serious, and clearly a voice of reason. He hears Rat's account of Toad's wild obsession with motor cars and recognizes the danger immediately. He's aware that Toad's wealth, combined with his restlessness, can only lead to trouble. Once the weather improves, Badger, Mole, and Rat pay Toad a visit, hoping to talk sense into him. But Toad isn't hearing it. He's enthralled by the roar of engines, the thrill of speed, and the attention it brings him. Even when the three friends practically hold Toad under house arrest in an attempt to protect him, he feigns compliance, then swiftly escapes. Soon enough, Toad's reckless driving lands him in real trouble. He wrecks another motor car, and this time the police catch him. In a dramatic courtroom scene, Toad is convicted of his offenses and sentenced to prison. The punishment, which he never dreamed possible, jolts him from his carefree existence, throwing him into a state of despair and self-pity. While Toad languishes in a cell, Mole and Rat return to their comfortable riverside life, though their hearts are heavier. Without their erratic friend, Badger keeps a watchful eye on things, but believes Toad must learn the consequences of his actions. As the days pass, Toad's spirits sink lower, until a glimmer of hope arrives in the form of the jailer's daughter, a kind-hearted young woman who takes pity on him. She arranges for him to escape by providing a disguise, a washerwoman's dress. Toad, always one for the dramatic, seizes this opportunity. In a flurry of comedic episodes, he slips out of the prison and finds himself on the run, dodging policemen, leaping from trains, and refusing to let anything keep him from returning to Toad Hall. Even so, the journey home is far from smooth. He loses money, is swindled by others, and nearly gives himself away through his own vanity more than once. Still, the single thought that keeps him going is reclaiming his old life at Toad Hall. Yet unbeknownst to Toad, another threat has emerged. In his absence, Stoats and Weasels, generally portrayed as sly, troublemaking sorts in the novel, have taken advantage of his downfall. They've occupied Toad Hall, driving out any who remained loyal to the absent owner. By the time Toad finally arrives in the vicinity, he realizes that his ancestral home is overrun with uninvited guests, who parade through his dining rooms, sleep in his best beds, and show no sign of leaving. Furious and aghast, Toad scrambles away to regroup. Soon, he manages to reconnect with Mole, Rat, and Badger, who are equally appalled. Together, they devise a bold plan. They'll infiltrate Toad Hall via a secret tunnel. Under the cover of darkness, they slip inside, weapons in hand, mostly sturdy sticks and their own determination, and surprise the Stoats and Weasels in the midst of a rowdy banquet. The resulting clash is brief but decisive. The intruders are ousted, and Toad Hall is returned to its rightful owner. A jubilant Toad, humbled by his prison experience and the unwavering loyalty of his friends, organizes a grand banquet to celebrate their victory. Mole, Rat, and Badger attend, watching with a mix of relief and fondness as Toad tries, somewhat awkwardly, to curb his usual bragging. There's a sense of hard-won maturity in him now, though traces of his flamboyant spirit remain. After all, Toad will always be Toad. Mole, too, has grown, no longer merely the timid homebody of the early chapters. He has discovered bravery he never suspected he possessed, and a devotion to his friends that propels him into dangers he once would have run from. Rat's unshakable loyalty finds new layers as well. He remains the steadfast companion, the voice of calm, but he's also had his eyes open to possibilities beyond the river, a fleeting moment of wanderlust that tested his resolve. And Badger, the wise patriarch, has seen his faith in cooperation vindicated. Each character emerges from the experience a bit altered, quietly reaffirming the novel's theme that growth and learning can happen at any stage in life. One of the enduring aspects of The Wind in the Willows is its ability to interweave light-hearted adventures with deeper reflections. The idea of home lies at the heart of the novel. Mole's longing for his snug burrow, Rat's devotion to the riverbank, Toad's attachment to his grand estate, and Badger's underground retreat. Each of these spaces symbolizes comfort, safety, and identity. Leaving home can mean danger, but it also fosters self-discovery. Mole learns there's a great welcoming world beyond his dusty tunnels, while Toad, ironically, must lose his freedom and nearly lose his home to realize just how much he values it. The notion of return, coming back to the familiar hearth, perhaps a bit wiser or more appreciative, pervades the novel. This cyclical journey resonates with anyone who has traveled far only to rediscover that the warmth of one's own fireside can feel like the greatest treasure of all. Friendship forms another pillar of the story. Time and again we see mole, rat, badger, and even toad standing by one another, despite frustrations, disagreements, or outright exasperation, especially in Toad's case, where lesser bonds would crumble, they remain firm, a testament to the novel's assertion that genuine companionship endures. When Toad's self-inflicted woes threaten his security, the others step in, risking their comfort for him. Even though they chastise or lecture him, it all comes from a place of concern. Their bond makes them a formidable team when they finally retake Toad Hall. The message is clear. Through shared adversity, friendships grow stronger, forging a sense of family that transcends petty squabbles. Beyond home and friendship, the novel gently explores the idea of one's relationship with the natural world. The river, the wild wood, the rolling countryside. These aren't mere backdrops. They exert a quiet influence, shaping the animals' moods and guiding the rhythm of their days. Grahame's writing often dwells on the sensory details of nature, the rustling leaves, the glint of sunlight on water, the hush of a moonlit wood. This reverent depiction of the countryside suggests that slowing down to appreciate the natural realm can bring a sense of peace and perspective. In the many decades since The Wind in the Willows first appeared, it has been adapted for the stage, for film, and even for theme park attractions. Children delight in the talking animals, the cozy dens, and Toad's comical excesses. Adults rediscover it through the lens of nostalgia or are surprised by its enduring wisdom when reading it for the first time. The characters have become part of literary folklore. Toad's name often conjures images of fancy waistcoats and speeding motor cars, while Mole and Rat represent a gentler vision of life where an afternoon rowing on the river is the pinnacle of contentment. One reason the story remains so beloved is its ability to blend whimsy with just enough reflection. Even the comedic scenes, Toad joyfully careening around in stolen cars, carry an undercurrent of moral reality. Actions have consequences, but the consequences aren't grim or punishing so much as they are lessons that lead us toward growth and reconciliation. In Toad's case, prison time and public disgrace ultimately soften his arrogance, at least temporarily, and bring him closer to valuing the people around him. Meanwhile, the quieter characters, Mole and Rat, reveal that simple pleasures and steadfast loyalty can be every bit as thrilling as wild escapades. If we were to look for one final takeaway, it might be the book's gentle insistence on balance. Mole's discovery of the wonders above ground is balanced by his nostalgia for his old home. Rat's contentment is briefly shaken by the possibility of going off to sea, but he chooses to remain by his beloved river in the end. Badger's solitary ways are softened by his commitment to helping his friends, and Toad's impulsive leaps into novelty are offset by the calmer influences of Mole, Rat, and Badger, ensuring that in the end he doesn't stray so far that he cannot be brought back into the fold. All of these strands come together in a finale that sees Toad, newly humbled, celebrating with the friends who've stood by him. Toad Hall is restored, its gates thrown open to loyal neighbors, and the stoats and weasels retreat into the wild wood. The message is hopeful and reassuring. Disorder can be vanquished, mistakes can be forgiven, and fellowship can create a world that feels both safe and richly alive. Kenneth Grahame, for all his understated prose and gentle humor, crafted a novel that transcends its era. Generations of readers have found solace in the slow-moving river, the comfortable hush of Badger's home, the modest warmth of Mole's burrow, and even the grand corridors of Toad Hall. It's a story that quietly suggests, take time to watch the sunlight dance on the water's surface, to share your sandwiches with a new friend under the shade of a willow, and to allow your heart to be light, even in a world where motor cars rumble and threaten the peace. In the end, the wind in the willows reminds us that life is about the journey, the small acts of kindness, the willingness to brave the unknown for the sake of a friend, and the comforting power of home to welcome us back when we're spent. There's a timeless grace in these pages, a grace that whispers to modern readers who may feel life moves too fast, urging them to find moments of stillness and camaraderie. It's no surprise that so many people return to mole, rat, badger, and toad whenever they need a gentle reminder of what truly matters: friendship, gratitude, and an abiding connection to the quiet miracles of nature. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the wind in the willows. May it inspire you to look around with Mole's sense of wonder, to appreciate life's small joys like rat, to develop the thoughtful wisdom of badger, and, when you need a burst of enthusiasm, perhaps to channel a bit of toad's irrepressible spirit. Most of all, may it remind you that sometimes the most profound adventures begin with something as simple as stepping out of your door and following a path toward unknown yet welcoming horizons.